So moving into the stage of getting home and planting our eucalypt, what I've already done here is prepare the hole. I've got some pretty nice free draining sandy soil here, which I know this particular eucalypt is going to like. Nice exposed sort of northerly aspect, which I know also it's going to like. The hole itself, the idea with the hole is that it's a wide and quite shallow hole. Sort of wok-shaped is a term that's used to maybe describe what sort of hole it is, which I quite like. And what I want at the end, when the tree is planted, is I want the soil level here to be more or less level with the soil level down here. So just taking a pot quite delicately off, we're not exactly sure what we're going to find. So what we can see here is that the root system's in pretty good condition here. They are kind of pointing out into the soil, which is where we want them. They're going to get into the soil quickly and help the plant establish quickly. The next stage, now that we've given the roots a bit of a tease and we're happy with the way they are, is to just very carefully transfer the plant into the hole, into the centre of the hole. And just while it's in there, before I start to backfill, I'm just going to double check that it's actually at the right depth. One of the key things to focus on when you're putting your tree in the ground is that the soil that's in the pot, the potting mix, is at about the same level as the existing soil. So I'm really happy with the way that is. And so now it's just time to backfill in the hole. Just starting to carefully backfill around with the soil. Every so often, just giving it a gentle consolidate. We don't want to squash it down really, really hard. We want that soil to be loose, but we also don't want it to be really, really light and fluffy, and then we water it and it all settles and leaves a big gap around the plant. So you may have noticed it started to rain a little bit. That's fantastic for helping this plant to establish and get settled in the landscape. We tend to generally plant in autumn or in spring because you've got that combination of warmish soil combined with a decent amount of moisture in the soil. Now, when the exact best time for you to plant your eucalypt will depend on the conditions it's going into and where it actually originates from. But I've just about finished planting this one now. I've backfilled the hole, built a little moat around it to hold some water when we give it a good drink in a minute, and I'm just about to apply some mulch. So that's that planted and mulched. The mulch, you'll notice that I've kept a good bit of spacing away from the trunk to where the mulch starts, and that the mulch is actually quite thin. I only want to be getting to sort of maybe about 50 mils or so that the water can get into the soil and also the air. Last thing to do is to just give the plant a good water in. Now, I know it's raining and it might seem a bit silly to be watering it as well, but bear in mind that even though that plant's in the ground, it's still technically in its pot. It doesn't have roots into the soil yet. So we've got to make sure we're getting water into where the roots actually are. And that little moat, little berm that we made will help to retain the water around the root system of the tree and really help to establish that tree. It is possible to sort of duck out to a nursery and pick up a cheap plant. Likely the reasons it's a cheap plant is because it's a cheap product and not necessarily going to give you the same results as you can get from spending a bit of extra time, a bit of extra effort and potentially a bit of extra money buying a really, really high quality plant like this that will bring you enjoyment and all the benefits for years to come.